Thank you guys. This is the final presentation in the series that we've had this spring with nutritional science students. This one is covering over sleep quality and your nutrition, how your nutrition can play a part in that. So we have Trevor, Johanna, and Bryce with us today, and really looking forward to the information they have to share. So thank you guys.
Yes. Hey, welcome everybody. Like Lindsay mentioned, I am Bryce. I'm here with my classmates, Trevor and JoJo. And today, like she said, we'll be talking about the power of sleep relating to nutrition, as well as other benefits of sleep. So before we start, but further ado, make a leap with more sleep. So here's a little overview of what we're gonna do in this presentation today. So we're gonna start off with 3 objectives that we want you guys to come away with once the presentation ends. We'll have a pre-quiz survey as well, and then we'll kind of dive into sleep, positive impacts of sleep, the negative impacts, how food impacts sleep, and then finally how to develop good sleep habits. And then we'll go into a little overview, finish up with a post-quiz, and then I'll additionally answer questions if you guys have any. And then the Kahoot we'll get into on the next slide. So Kahoot, maybe some of you guys haven't heard of it, but it's a fun interactive quiz game where you guys can answer questions and you get points if you get it right. So just a little tutorial, because we are going to have 4 of them that were during this presentation. So to begin, you'll go to this website called kahoot.it, which we have in the chat for you guys. And we want to emphasize, this can be done on your phone or your computer. But if you do it on your computer, you will have to split your screen, because the screen that we will be showing you will show the questions. And then your split screen, you'll be able to answer it from it. And then once you go to that website, you'll type in the game code that we are going to give you. Type in your name, obviously, so we can keep track of your points. And then, like I said, the Kahoot that we're showing on this screen will show the questions, and then you'll have the answer choices on your screen. So here are just kind of pictures to reinforce it. On the left is the computer with the split screen. And it is categorized by colors. So for this one, if you wanted to pick Thomas Edison, it'd be in the red. You'd click the red. And then on the right, you can see your phone, using your phone, and then also the screen as well. So you can do either option, whichever one you're more comfortable with. Okay, so now to dive in, here is the 3 objectives that we want you guys to get out of this presentation. So the first is to find sleep and identify sleep recommendations for different age groups, because different age groups need different amounts of sleep. And then the next objective is to describe the positive and negative impacts of sleep on your physical health and also your mental health. Lastly, explain the recommendations for developing good sleep habits and the impacts that different food and beverages can have on your sleep. Okay, so now we wanted to start off with this pre-quiz / survey. So if you guys could take out just a piece of paper or a notepad and write down your answers to these 3 questions, and we'll revisit them at the end. So for the first question is, on a scale of 1 to 5, how important do you think sleep is to you? And then for the next question is, how many stages of sleep are there? And then finally, which of the following is a health benefit of getting adequate sleep? So eating more calorie-dense foods, eating more nutrient-dense foods, cravings for salt and sweet foods, or lower energy levels. Okay, so to dive in, so sleep, what is it? So sleep, technical definition, is defined as the natural state of rest during which your eyes are closed and you become unconscious. And there are actually 4 stages of sleep. Now, prior in 2007, there was 5 stages, but they've since shortened it down to 4. So if you've seen 5, that was probably why. But the first 3 stages are non-REM sleep, so non-rapid eye movement sleep. And also we categorize as light sleep. So during this time, it's just when your body is adjusting from wakefulness and sleep. And this usually lasts about 5 to 10 minutes, depending on the person. The next stage you go into is called moderate sleep, also non-REM sleep. And you spend about 10 to 25 or 30 minutes in this stage of sleep. And this is when your breathing starts to slow down, your heart rate slows down. Everything's kind of preparing itself to go into sleep. And then finally, or the third stage is deep sleep. So this is also non-REM sleep. And this is the part where any like noises or loudness, you will not become awake during this part. So, and your body starts to do like physical repairs, like healing, muscle recovery, things like that. And you're in this stage the longest amount of time, so 20 to 40 minutes during each cycle. And then finally, you have your REM sleep, which is your rapid eye movement sleep. This is where your eyes are moving rapidly, you're dreaming, and your brain activity is actually, in this state, your brain activity is actually how it is when you're awake. So that's why you're having those vivid dreams, but your muscles are temporary parallels, so you won't act out, obviously, those vivid dreams. And typically throughout the night, you go through this sleep cycle, which is about anywhere from 90 minutes to 110 minutes, and you go through it like 4 to 6 times a night. All right, so how much sleep do we need? So obviously, each age group needs different amount of sleep. 0 to 5 years old, you approximately need 11 to 17 hours of sleep. Now 6 to 12, so your grade school level, you need about 9 to 12 hours of sleep. And then your teenage years, like high school, middle school, high school, you need 8 to 10. And then 18 plus, you need 7+ hours of sleep. And some alarming statistics here with sleep deprivation. So in the US, 70% of adults report obtaining insufficient sleep at least one night out of the month, which I thought was alarming. And then teenagers 15 through 19 are the most sleep deprived, and they actually need the most sleep because their bodies are growing and developing. And then approximately 80% of people receive less than the recommended amount. So it's an important thing, because obviously as Americans and in general, people are just not getting enough sleep. Okay, so here is the first Kahoot game that we will play. So in the chat, you have Kahoot.io, if you guys could go to that website. And then you can either use the QR code or on your phone. And then also the game pin is 2668298. So you should see a screen to put in the game pin. I think we have just about everyone. So we'll go ahead and get started here. So here we go. First question. Which of the following is not a stage of sleep? 10 seconds to answer. There we go. Good job. It is not heavy sleep. So it looks like T is winning. All right. Next question. How many hours of sleep do adults need? 18 plus. Good. 7+ hours. Okay, we got a little competitive leaderboard here. All right, in the US, what is the percentage of adults who report being sleep deprived? 60, 80, 70, or 40? It actually is, it's 70, yep, 70%. Okay, all right. So our last question here for this first Kahoot, what age group reports being the most sleep deprived? Yes, 15 to 19 years old, so you're teenagers. Okay, we'll see who came out on top. Let's see. Blair got third. Sarah got second, and T got first, so good job, T. Okay, let's see here. So we will go back to the presentation. Okay, and I will now pass it on to Trevor to go into the positive impacts of adequate sleep.
Okay, so like Bryce said, my name is Trevor, and I'm gonna get into how sleep can actually impact us. So adequate amounts of sleep can have many benefits on the human body. Stress relief, increased creativity. It can put us in a better mood. It can increase our attention span. Can increase our memory retention, and it can actually help with our diet. I'm not going to get into the physiology of it too much because we're not sleep experts, but this likely comes from efficient communication between brain cells. When lack of sleep occurs, the interaction between these cells is disrupted, and it can cause many different problems. So physically, sleep can provide many benefits as well. Things like energy increase, eating habits may benefit, which actually leads to better weight maintenance and stability. And then also increased exercise performance. This is due to this is a very similar way that mental health is affected. Brain cells actually interact with the rest of the body when well rested, which results in better physical health and that better overall feeling, providing us more energy and like better decision making with our eating habits and stuff like that. So yeah, kind of went through that pretty quickly. We're actually going to play our second Kahoot now. So again, back to the Kahoot. This one's going to be over the two things that I just talked about, mental impacts and physical impacts. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. So this is our second Kahoot. First question being, which of the following is not a positive impact of sleep, mental impact of sleep? There we go. Yes. Oops. So the correct answer was decreased focus. It's like we got Emily on top. All right. Next question. What will you notice physically when you're getting adequate sleep? Ooh, yes. Actually, this was kind of a trick question. The question was, what will you notice physically when you're actually getting adequate amounts of sleep? Exercise performance is increased with adequate amounts of sleep. And we actually didn't really talk about attention span very much, so that's why that was the correct answer versus this one. Increased attention span is actually more of a mental positive thing. That's kind of why we threw that in there, to throw you off a little bit. Exercise performance is the physical part of it. Question. So now we're at our third question, true or false question. We can better manage our weight with adequate amounts of sleep. Sure. Good job, guys. Weight maintenance is actually one of the many benefits of adequate amount of sleep because we are more likely to make better decisions in our diet. Okay. One last question. What is one helpful way to manage stress? Kind of getting into stress a little bit here. Yep, sleep 7+ hours is the correct answer. Because remember, we talked about how getting enough sleep can actually decrease the amounts of stress that we have, which can help manage our stress. Let's see who came out on top for this one. It's like Sandra came in third. Lamb came in second. And RS came in first. Good job, RS. All right. Close out of this. Let's go back.
I just clicked on the presentation. Yeah.
Okay. So now we're gonna get into some negative impacts of inadequate amounts of sleep. So mentally, lack of sleep can be very taxing. Not getting enough sleep can increase risk of many different things, like mental illnesses such as anxiety, depression, other things. It can worsen our decision-making skills and cause us to have poor judgment throughout the day, which nobody wants to have. Poor decision-making skills and poor judgment can lead to different complications. And then memory function can be impacted as well. The ability to learn can be decreased, which can cause us to just not be able to go through the day as easy. And then also it can increase the amounts of negative effects. Kind of going back to what we talked about earlier, the reduced or slowed communication between brain cells is actually what causes this. So when we're getting inadequate amounts of sleep, that brain cell connection is actually just not as well. And then it slows down, it reduces, and it can cause any of these things mentally. Now we're talking about some physical impacts. Physically, sleep can negatively affect our health as well. Energy levels will decrease. We won't feel as good throughout the day. It can lead to poor diets and eating habits. Digestion can actually be altered from not getting enough sleep. It can decrease growth in children and adolescents. And then also it can decrease exercise performance. So, things like poor recovery, it can increase our inflammation, it can decrease our protein synthesis. Kind of the same thing that we talked about earlier with the physical aspects in sleep. Lack of communication from brain cells to the rest of our body is what causes this. With energy levels, it can be fatigue. Our muscles don't have enough sleep. They haven't been recovering correctly. A poor diet, we actually, we'll get into this more later, but we want to consume foods that we shouldn't really want to consume. Worsen digestive function. This can kind of be because the brain cells are not getting to our digestive tract as efficiently, and they're kind of reduced and slowed, so it worsens that. And then growth, not enough sleep can cause bad growth, and then that lack of communication to our muscles can cause poor exercise performance. So now we're going to talk about some foods that can actually help us sleep, potential foods that may help us sleep at night. Turkey studies actually show that excessive amounts of tryptophan may actually assist sleep at night. Turkey contains a lot of tryptophan, so that's actually what may help you sleep at night. Warm drinks at night before you go to bed can potentially help as well. This can actually soothe the GI tract, helping digestion throughout the night, and then also kind of make you just feel more tired, wound down. And then there could be other benefits. And then fatty fish can help as well because of omega-3s that are in it. Omega-3s are an essential fatty acid, and they are actually proven to potentially help somebody sleep at night. So, yeah. So negative foods that can actually negatively impact our sleep. Caffeine, alcohol, and other drugs that actually stimulate our brain can worsen our sleep at night. This is because we have more brain activity and we won't be able to get as deep of a sleep throughout the night. It can also keep us up at night. Spicy foods, and then also high fatty foods. I didn't add that in there, but high fatty foods can as well because they may cause things like heartburn, digestive issues. And when you're actually feeling those things at night, it might wake you up in the middle of the night and can cause you due to kind of mess up your cycle throughout the night. So maybe you're in a deep sleep and you wake up when you really shouldn't. That can make you feel more tired, more fatigued throughout the night. Then lastly, things with high energy density, meaning they're really high in calorie and not really high in nutrients. So like high in sugar, low in fiber and macronutrient, those kind of foods, like soda, candy, things like that. They have a lot of calories, but they don't have a lot of nutrients, which can really affect our sleep at night. So overall, there's a pretty strong relationship between sleep and appetite. Lack of sleep can cause or can mess with our appetite by increasing our cravings of foods that are generally not as healthy. So like high fat, salty foods, foods that are high in sugar. Additionally, inadequate sleep can decrease the amount of leptin in the body, which is actually the hormone in our body that makes us feel full, and increase the amount of ghrelin in our body, which is the hormone that signals our body to be hungry. So when this happens, we're going to be more hungry throughout the day, potentially eat more foods that are generally not as healthy, and then can cause other problems like, the exercise recovery, weight maintenance, stuff like that. So this kind of shows that there is a correlation between eating and sleep. So we're going to play our next Kahoot. This is our third of our 4 Kahoots. Everybody pull your phones out. Let's get ready to play this one. All right, let's get started. So the third Kahoot, like I mentioned, with the first question being, what amino acid has been linked to helping aid in better sleep? Yes, and it is tryptophan. Tryptophan was actually the amino acid that's in turkey. Amino acids are basically the building blocks of proteins. Turkey has a lot of protein and it has a lot of tryptophan in it, and that is the amino acid that can help us sleep at night, potentially. So we got Alexa on top. Coming to our next question, what food will better help you sleep? Of the following. Yes, good job, guys. Fatty fish was the correct answer here because they contain that essential amino acid that I mentioned earlier, omega-3s, which studies have kind of proved, or not really proved, but shown that the omega-3s can actually help us sleep better at night. It's like Nova's taking the lead. Next question. What time should you stop drinking coffee to maximize your sleep? Okay, yeah, so it was actually noon. I know I didn't really get into this in my presentation. This was just kind of a for your information thing, but studies have shown that you should stop drinking coffee before noon or at noon to maximize your sleep at night, because that caffeine that I talked about earlier can actually disrupt our ability to sleep. All right, last question. What about alcohol that makes it damaging to sleep? Yeah, it's kind of the same thing with the coffee. I did talk about how alcohol can stimulate our brain and not help us sleep at night. Same thing here, it can suppress our REM sleep, which is the sleep that we need the most. And then that can negatively impact our sleep at night totally. All right, so you came out on top. Sandra, Tina. Sandra's been consistent. Who was first? Alexa. Good job, Alexa. All right. Now I'm going to go ahead and hand it off to JoJo, who is going to talk with us a little bit about how we can develop better sleep habits.
Hi, my name is Johanna Greenwood, and we're going to talk about some suggestions for developing good sleep habits and getting adequate sleep. One of the most common and best recommendations is eliminating blue light at night, which we actually get from our devices. So any screens like a TV, your iPad, or your phone, they'll actually disrupt your circadian rhythm and make it harder for you to sleep. Consistent exercise can also help you maximize sleep. That's actually a suggestion for insomnia, is commonly to go for a walk or a jog before trying to sleep. Proper nutrition and meal timing can also help with your sleep. Digesting food while you're sleeping can actually be disruptive to your sleep. And ideally, you would eat your last meal 2 to 3 hours before bedtime. So some ways to develop good sleeping habits are to set up an ideal sleep environment consistently. A quiet area is best for sleeping unless you like having a phone on your sound on your phone, or if you prefer to have a fan running. The room should also be dark, and it should be cooler than room temperature. And it should also be a clean and comfortable environment. So it should be big enough that you are able to comfortably sleep, but you should also have clean sheets and a clean space so you can feel your most comfortable and relaxed. So we're now going to play our final Kahoot for this presentation. All right, I'm going to go ahead. So for the first question, how does blue light negatively affect sleep? Great, that is right. It disrupts your circadian rhythm. All right, and on to the next question. Name one recommendation for better sleep. That is right. Consistent physical activity helps us sleep better at night. How much time should you give yourself after eating at night to allow for proper digestion? So digestion that does not disrupt your sleep. Yes, 2 to 3 hours is correct. That is the suggestion for how soon before sleeping you should eat. All right, and what is one tip for setting up an ideal sleep environment? All right, absolutely. Making sure your bed sheets are clean helps you feel comfortable and sleep well at night. So it looks like Blair got third, CP second. Maybe a drum roll. And Tina. All right. Do you just click that?
Yeah, just.
Okay. All right, and then to resume our presentation, we just wanted to give an overview of what we talked about today. Sleep is important for your nutrition and your overall health. A good overall health is dependent on sleep. Getting a good night's rest can have many positive effects on mental and physical health. And sleep can also affect nutrition through a feedback loop, meaning that not getting enough sleep leads to not getting enough sleep. Generally, this process is like sleep deprivation causes appetite imbalances, which causes an increased craving of unhealthy foods. And then that causes an overconsumption of energy-dense foods, especially sugary foods. And then consuming those foods leads to sleeping problems, which of course leads to sleep deprivation. Sleep is vital for all age groups. Although we do have different requirements for different age group, it is very important for our mental and physical health that everyone gets enough sleep. And so here is our post quiz. This is the same quiz that was taken at the beginning of the presentation. If possible, we would just like you to write down your answers. So they are the same question. The first one is, on a scale of 1 to 5, after you heard our presentation, how important do you think sleep is? And then the second question is, how many stages of sleep are there? And finally, which of the following is a health benefit of getting adequate sleep? So the correct answer for number 2 is that there are 4 stages of sleep. And the correct answer for number 3 is that one health benefit of getting adequate sleep is that you're eating more nutrient dense foods. So that means that the foods contain a higher amount of micronutrients that are good for your health, as opposed to foods that are calorie dense, that contain a lot of sugar and things that aren't necessarily the best for our health. Okay, thank you for listening today, and thank you for your time. Are there any questions?
Yeah, great information. While people are taking a moment, if they want to drop any questions in the chat, I think it was great. We don't always think about how our nutrition or how we eat can affect our sleep, and vice versa, and how it all just kind of interconnects with each other. So yeah, great things to think of if you're having sleep issues or struggles there, that maybe just kind of tweaking your diet a little bit, what you eat, when you eat, that sort of thing might be very helpful, among other things that you want to try out. So let's see what we have here. A lot of kudos to you. Great info, learned a lot. Great information. Yes, kept us engaged with the Kahoots. So that was wonderful. Always love to see, I don't care who you are. It's always fun to see whenever you make it on the podium, even if it's just for like a simple little thing, little survey like that. So even as adults and everything, just those little fun things, it's great to see your name in the top 3 on a podium. So put a smile on everyone's faces.
Well, if no one has any questions, thank you for your time. We appreciated having you and giving you some information about sleep.
Excellent. Thank you all. And thank you for everyone for joining us today, and have a wonderful rest of your day.